Good morning, everybody, guests and fellow Toastmasters. How do you start off with the kernel of your speech? How do you start planning a speech? Well, this series that I'm doing was all started by one short sentence that I read on a forum on the internet. And from that, I got inspired to do this whole thing. But I will tell you about that shocking little quote later on. Helen Traubel was a magnificent American singer. She was from some xenophobes would have a problem with this. She was from the largely German-speaking community in St. Louis area in the early part of the century. She was born right at the turn of the century. She was just an all-American girl, loved baseball, but she had an incredible voice. The thing that's really striking about her is most opera singers, like Dave asked me earlier before the meeting, most of them start out real early. Like my sister was an opera singer. She went to college and graduate school, and she started out right in her early 20s singing in opera houses and building up her career and stuff. By the time that you get to the type of parts that Helen Traubel sang, most people have been singing for 15 to 20 years. No, not Helen Traubel. She was never happy with her voice. She kept working on it and working on it with teacher after teacher. And only in her mid-30s did she feel ready to actually start her career. And she started at the very top without any, operas in her background. A lot of people really were, shall we say, a little PO'd about this because she supposedly hadn't done her dues. But when she made her debut at the Metropolitan Opera, people were just blown away. Now, she had been courted by the Metropolitan Opera, which is the leading opera house in the world in New York, a number of times. They had wanted her to sing Venus in Tannhäuser. And she said, well, with my big body, I just don't think I could wear something seductive. And so she turned them down 3 times for, a lot of other people would sacrifice and gone for it. She had been offered a very lucrative part singing concerts at Radio City Music Hall, which most of you are familiar with. Well, she said that she thought that would be beneath the dignity that she wanted to establish for her career. And she was like, she and her husband were starving. Well, she finally got on with the Met, blew them away. I mean, here she had this, by this point, a perfected voice. Her voice was like a pipe organ from this deep contralto, like the bass for a male voice, deep contralto, lower register, all the way up to this glowing top. It was like a BMW 6-speed. Just there were no shifts. It just glided along. Her voice was this burgundy-colored, very womanly, very beautiful voice. And the quote that I read about her that sets her apart was the following quote. Well, supposedly her voice was so ginormous that somebody I was talking with on an opera forum on the internet said that his teacher heard her in Chicago and said her voice was so big that it not only came and hit her in the chest, but that it bounced off the back wall and hit the back of her head. Well, when you hear her today, you may not have difficulty understanding that because she had a huge voice, which came in handy for Wagner. Now, when I said that she didn't want to wear these sexy costumes, I mean, she was not built like a Miss America, but she was probably one of the best built opera singers of all time for singing Wagner because, well, her mother, she was the run of the family. Her mother was so big when she died that they measured her chest and shoulders, and the doctor said it was the biggest he had ever seen on a woman in his life. Helen had a 48-inch chest, which came in handy with when she was doing these long line. Wagner, you could have to sing for a long time, 3 or 4 hours, and over a huge orchestra with Wagner horns, which are special horns that are bigger than any other horns. You're contending with a lot. And then she had to do it without having to take a lot of breaths. So a 48-inch chest for a woman, other than Kim Kardashian, really comes in handy. And this is her special rose that was named after her. She came along at an interesting time because Kirsten Flagstad was the greatest Wagnerian singer of all time, but her husband was a Norwegian, and he was accused of collaborating with the Nazis, which he didn't, but you couldn't mess around with that back then. So she had to go home. And then Marjorie Lawrence was a beautiful Australian singer who was doing these Wagner parts, and she got polio. So Helen ended up singing everything. She was making $1,250,000 a year just singing at the Met. Plus, she would do 100 concerts a year. So she was making a lot of money. It took her a long time to make it, but when she did, and she didn't like the costumes the Met was giving her, because the Met was sort of on a budget in that wartime. So she spent $300,000 of her money to get Adrian of Hollywood, who was a leading costumer in Hollywood, to make her costumes. And she looked good. Now, that's not her. This is Lawrence Melchior. And he was the greatest Wagnerian tenor of all time. He had the loudest voice ever heard in a theater in history. It is just enormous. Most tenors are kind of short and squat. He was 6'2", and as you can see, he had more than 48 inches in his chest. And she and Traubel really liked each other. And Traubel is calling me on that phone line from heaven. They were very competitive on stage, and there was one part in Tristan and Isolde where the lovers have been apart and they're supposed to run together. Well, look at how big he was. He was just huge. Well, he just ran into her. He didn't stop. They were both bruised. They were like linebackers who were not wearing their padding. And then when she was on stage and he wasn't, and she was trying to sing something serious, he'd be off there putting on ladies' hats or grass skirts and all this stuff, and she was trying to keep a straight face. It's kind of an interesting story. They have the prompters for these opera singers with these long parts. They're hidden down here, and they shout out the words. Some of them were laughing so hard they couldn't do their job. Now, this is one of her outfits that's done by Adrian. I mean, that's very flattering on her. Now, I'm going to be playing for you one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. The immolation scene from Wagner's Ring. It's like 15 hours of opera over 4 operas, and this is the end of it, and it brings in themes from everything. But it's real. Do you know what the word OTT is? Over the top. It's very over the top. But for me, that's heaven. Now, at this point in this, I'm going to tell you that. Well, see, this is Brunhilde, another Brunhilde, a skinny one. She lost 60 pounds after she had gastric bypass. The voice was never the same again. But anyway, she looked good, though. Siegfried had died. Brunhilde was, well, I know that your girlfriend is a goddess, but this girl was a real goddess. She was the daughter of Wotan. And she gave up her godhood, whatever you call it. She became mortal for this man. Women don't do that. So she became a human for this man. And somebody gave him a draught that he drank, and he forgot he was her lover. And so he married somebody else. This did not go well. And so he ended up getting killed. But then she gave him a hero's burial. But she was still a little PO'd. So she had him all in this pyre. There's a funeral pyre that she set off all that stuff, which is coming right after the part that I'm playing. And Valhalla, she burned down the whole city of the gods. She was PO'd. She was messed. She didn't like it. It's really dramatic music. So I'm going to play you this bit. The words are going to be on here. This is sort of in the middle. And there's going to be a part where she is going to blow the wigs off the patrons. And I'm going to do body language so I can get points and you can see where it is in this. And she's just got, it's not just a big voice, it's beautiful. And the music is more exciting than most of you have ever heard. So here we go. Get ready. Well, because it's Wagner, she keeps going on and on. But I thought that would give you a taste. And I didn't get to the part where she sets it on fire. That gets really good. So, as you can see, she is not the type of woman that most of you men will want to be married to. Because you would never win an argument. Helen Traubel is an amazing singer. The thing that's really doubly amazing about her is that as huge as her voice was, as spectacular as she was in this very rarefied world of singing Wagner, she was able to scale the voice back and become a marvelous pop singer. In the last part of her career, she was very successful at that, and she made more music at pop than she made at opera. And she wasn't doing bad. So I will be sharing that with you next month. So Helen Traubel, thank you very much.